So, what's up, people, and welcome to the Mission 108 discussion of Spy Family. So, Mission 108 came out a few days ago, and as always, I will leave a link to this mission that's currently being shown on the publisher's official website, Manga Plus, for free to the North American audience. So, if you're interested, we'll go take a look at it before they pull this mission back. Okay, so it's been a while since Mission has come out. And I'm very glad that Tatsuya Endo was able to get some break so that he could get some rest. It is notoriously known that mangakas have a terrible working schedule, and because of that, they tend to lose their health. And so I feel that it is very important that Tatsuya Endo gets his break so that he could continue on with this fine series. And for me, it turned out to be good timing because I just happened to be out of the country for quite a long time due to a business trip. And I ended up going to Japan, and my wife tagged along this time. And so we were able to spend some time in Japan over the past few days. And during the time when I was in Haneda, I noticed that there was some, Spy Family paraphernalia in one of the souvenir shops. And I guess it revolved around the theme of soccer. Now, I'm not really into soccer, but it was quite cute to see these things. But I figured that maybe I could find more Spy Family items in the city, which turned out to be a mistake. We did end up going to the Sunshine City shopping mall, which is quite well known for its anime type stores. And they did have a huge variety of stores, including the Snoopy store, which was the main reason why we went because my wife is a big Snoopy fan. And it turns out that you can get more Snoopy goods in Japan more so than in the United States these days. And so it turned out to be a nice visit, and we saw some nice Snoopy goods and Charlie Brown items. There were Kirby items, there were Miffy items by Dick Bruna, and of course you can't talk about anime without Pokemon, and they just happened to have a Pikachu cafe. There turned out to be a Ghibli store, of course, and a One Piece store. And there were many others, but what I found out was there wasn't a Spy Family store, not yet anyway, not that I could find. And so I didn't get a chance to buy anything in the city. Even when I went to Akihabara, we just didn't have the time to look into the anime goods. And so on the way back, I went back to that store again in the airport. And it turned out that if I looked at the other side of the shelves, there were other non-soccer related Spy Family items. And so during that time, I decided to get my wife a pajama Anya keychain and a pajama Anya desk accessory. And so it was pretty nice. Anyway, this isn't about my trip to Japan. It's about the discussion for Mission 108, so we could continue on. So Mission 108, it continues where Mission 107 left off. If you remember, Mission 107 was all about the festival and the entire Forger family going to that and meeting a tremendous number of characters in there. It turned out to be a really good chapter. And this one turns out to be a very good one as well, in that it reveals some very good information with regards to the story. And if you recall, at the end of Mission 107, Yor went separate with Anya to have her fortune told. And during that time, she finds out that the fortune teller is none other than Melinda. And so 108 starts off with that. And both of them are extremely surprised to meet each other at the festival. Yeah, of course, since this festival is organized by the Lady Patriot Society, which Melinda is the head of, well, you could understand that there may be some involvement, but why is she here as a fortune teller? Well, it turns out that that's one of her hobbies. And in fact, Melinda begs Yor not to tell anybody with regards to her interests, because if the public learned that she was interested in mysticism and the occult, then there may turn out to be a tremendous backlash from the community. And Melinda does mention that she knows she should stop for the sake of the society, but it is this one hobby that she has a hard time dropping because she does believe in mysticism and things like telepathy, which was very interesting because Anya had an interesting reaction when Melinda mentioned telepathy. But Yor actually complimented Melinda in saying that it was admirable that she did pursue something that she loved greatly, despite all of the social constraints. And she was a little bit jealous of Melinda because Yor herself didn't have particularly any hobbies to pursue, which actually made Melinda very happy and said, well, maybe you're very interested in learning about divination as well. Which of course Yor was not. But this seemed to actually strengthen the bond between those two, which of course made Anya very nervous. And so Anya comes back and asks Melinda if there's any way she knows how she can strengthen her friendship with Damian, which of course makes Melinda realize that Damian is at the festival. And she again pleads with everybody to not tell Damian with regards to her presence. And then, of course, with Anya's telepathic skills, she starts reading Melinda's mind. And you could see the worry she has with regards to if her secret was found out by Damian and Jeeve, it would cause a tremendous calamity. And we get that situation once more with regards to Melinda's split personality. But this one is, again, a subtle reveal of a little bit more information with regards to her persona. In the last time we saw this, there was this indication that maybe she had the split personality, that in one situation she loved Damian, and the other she just could not be with him. But here you could literally see that she really does care for Damian. And it's just that something happened in the past that makes it extremely uncomfortable for her to be with him. And it's because of that pain makes her thought with regards to wanting Damian to go away. But she actually does care for Damian, and had that situation not occurred in the past, she probably wouldn't be in this dilemma. But in any case, since Anya did ask for her fortune, Melinda does bring out the tarot cards and starts giving her prediction for the future. At which point we realize, Melinda really doesn't know what's going on with her fortune telling, because she starts rambling off about a lot of different things, including the fact that she has no idea what these cards mean. But then she does reveal a tarot card of death, and the only thing she could think of is that the Grim Reaper must be right near you, Anya. Which of course typically means that somebody nearby might encounter death. But in the case of Anya and of course Yor, they both think of Yor as the personal representation of death, which I thought was pretty funny. And then Melinda starts saying something very unusual, which is that Anya will never receive another stellar star, at which point she, of course, starts backtracking because that will be a very rude thing to say. And all of this becomes extremely awkward for Melinda, to the point where she finally starts asking a completely different question by asking Anya, does she truly like Damian? And Anya answers, no! To which Yor is like, what are you saying, Anya? But Melinda actually takes it quite casually, saying that she's sorry that Damian gets on her case every once in a while. And she starts wondering if that's because she wasn't able to take care of him at all. And had it been that she was able to somehow confront Donovan, then maybe she could be a better mother to Damian. But then we get the best part of this entire chapter when she remembers what Donovan is like. And oh my gosh, you see the PTSD coming back. And of course, Anya experiences this when she reads Melinda's mind. And this is another subtle reveal. We always knew that there was something really strange between Melinda and Donovan, and that they were an estranged couple. But we weren't really sure what that was. And it could have been anything with regards to even a situation where something happened to Donovan which changed his personality, and the love between the two people kind of fizzled out because of his new persona. Maybe that was the case, and maybe it was due to that she felt separate from Damian because maybe Damian caused the situation. All of that I talked about in the past. But I think with this reveal, I am completely wrong about that. And it goes back to the original thought that most people had, which is Donovan is evil. And regardless of whether this is a conscious evil or an evil that was a result of the war, whatever it is, something happened with regards to Melinda that frightened the crap out of her with regards to Donovan. And it probably involves Damian because he seems to be the pivot with regards to her PTSD. And coming back, it might be because of the war, and Donovan may be a product of the war that he may have turned sociopath with regards to whatever he experienced from the war. Because if you recall in the flashbacks that we saw with Henry Henderson, Donovan Desmond as a young child was peculiar, but he wasn't particularly evil. And so whatever happened probably turned him into the person that he is right now. But whatever the case, this PTSD seems to indicate that Donovan is very dangerous, and that of course increases the risk with regards to Operation Strix and the beginning of a new war. Of course, for somebody who has experienced some tremendous amount of trauma from the old war, you might think that trying to create a new war would be the last thing on his mind. But if whatever changed his persona was due to a trauma that came from the West, then there may be a tremendous amount of hatred that Donovan has against the West, and that may be the reason he would want to create another war. But in any case, we don't really know, and I don't particularly want to speculate beyond this point. But this PTSD has basically made Melinda not want to be here anymore, and she feels like she needs to leave. Now, you're noticing this entire trauma from Melinda says that she has a suggestion, which we don't know what it is because we immediately turn back to the group, right? The original group that was in the festival, and you see Yor and Anya coming back to meet with the group again. And Becky is still there and starts asking Anya how the fortune telling went. And Anya, out of all the things she says that the Grim Reaper is besides me, which terrifies Becky. And of course, Yor is like, well, yeah. I may have some interesting characteristics, but I am not the Grim Reaper because I do not use a scythe. I don't think that's the whole point, and I don't think it's with regards to technicality. But in any case, Anya continues on that the fortune teller told her that if she got invited to a certain young gentleman's house, then life will become wonderful. Which we of course know that she didn't say, especially considering the fact that Melinda has such a strange relationship with Damian. She would never mention that. And of course, Damian's like, who the hell would invite you to their house? And Becky, being the knowledgeable person that she is, starts noticing Damian's uncomfortable nature and starts poking at it, saying, oh, is there something she said that brought something out in you, Damian? Are you feeling sensitive about her comments? And Damian starts becoming extremely angry. And before anything can go wrong, Lloyd suggests maybe that it's time to go. But Anya actually mentions how this is the first time that these families were able to get together, and it would be such a great time for everybody to become closer. Which, of course, Lloyd takes not as a social or a spiritual side, but actually from a work-related situation where being able to become much closer to these people who are important to Ostania would definitely be beneficial to his infiltration. And so he decides to stay as well. And eventually, when it becomes later at night, they are ready to leave, but it is Jeeves who says that it was very nice to be able to meet like this, and they were grateful for the time today. And during that time, Yor is saying goodbye to Emil and Ewan. For some reason, it seems like Emil and Ewan has become smitten to Yor and her sincerity, because they're talking about how beautiful she is and what a nice mom she is. and it would be really nice if their mom was like her. To which Damian starts saying, why are you all talking so much about moms? What's so great about moms anyway? Stop being childish. And Anya, noticing that, says, Damian, your mom loves you too. And of course, Damian gets extremely defensive and goes, what the heck are you talking about? And how do you know all about that, you know? And he starts becoming rude, but actually Yor comes up and goes, yes, Anya is actually right. She does love you very much, Damian. Damian, not being able to handle it, starts running away, which reminds me of a scene that we saw very early in the series. You remember that time after Anya punched Damian? That she wanted to apologize, and she apologized with her teary-eyed face and said that they would like to be friends. And of course, Damian ran away similar to that time as well. We start understanding that with Damian, when he gets into these embarrassing situations, he has no control over himself and eventually runs away. And what's interesting is Jeeves' reaction to that, which is very positive, in that he is grateful to everybody for giving Damian this experience. Which was a very interesting comment, because you know that he is extremely protective of Damian, and Damian just ran away screaming. And so why is he happy? Probably because his running away screaming is a true persona of Damian. And we always known that Jeeves is very caring of Damian, and he's always very worried about Damian, most likely because he tends to wear a mask of perfection, feeling that that's the responsibility he has as a Desmond. But to be able to see him in his real form and being able to bring out his true persona was something that was very refreshing to Jeeves. And so I have a feeling that aside from Martha, Jeeves is going to become a very interesting character in this series. I've said that before, and this chapter reinforces that. Now what's interesting is, although this was a mission type of relationship for Lloyd, when everybody leaves, we see Lloyd thinking about a similar festivity where the last time he had a similar sort of situation, it was with his friends when they were kids. And this is very interesting because it reveals a couple of things. First, considering the fact that all his friends had died, and after that, he joined the WISE organization, most likely he's never had really close friends to hang out with since that time. Sure, he's known people in the WISE organization, and there are people like Agent Nightfall and Frankie, but if you think about it, he doesn't really hang out with them. They're his career friends. And so this situation, being close to people in a personal way, is probably the first time he's experienced that since the time he was a kid, which is a very sad comment with regards to his situation. But what's interesting also is that the people he is now becoming social with is the enemy, right? Every one of these people are the people from Astania. So what's this going to do to Lloyd's personality? It'll be interesting because there is always that dilemma between his caring side, which tends to weaken him from his icy demeanor that he needs to be a professional agent. And so what will this new encounter do to his actions in the future? It'll be interesting to tell. But in any case, it turns out that the entire family had a great time. And now we turn to the next day, and Lloyd is at work being a psychiatrist, and his boss comes up to him and says that there is a new client that he needs to take care of. And since she is a very important VIP to the country, he is going to have to do extra special work to make sure that she is okay. And lo and behold, we find out that his new patient is none other than Melinda Desmond. And so now we know exactly what Yor suggested, which was for her to meet and be treated by Lloyd. Now, of course, Yor did that not for the sake of Operation Strix or anything like that, but she felt that maybe Lloyd will be able to help her psychologically. And although Melinda said she would think about it to Yor, she did end up actually appearing at the hospital. And so at the very end, we see the chapter end with Lloyd going, "Don't worry, boss, you can count on me." Which is very interesting because this, of course, sets up the next chapter to be probably a very interesting interaction between Melinda and Lloyd. And will we start getting more understanding of what trauma Melinda had in the past that will reveal more about Donovan Desmond? Because you know that Lloyd is going to do everything in the book to be able to pull as much information out of Melinda as possible. But whatever happens, we will have to wait for chapter 109 before we see really what he does. And once that chapter comes out, I'll bring out another video and hope you join me at that time. But this is the discussion for chapter 108. If you read it, what'd you think about it? Did you find it as good as I did with all of the reveals that Tatsuya Endo softly brings out? Which is something I really like about this author. He doesn't just blurt out reveals, but actually integrates them into the story so that you could see them in a subconscious manner, which is really, really nice because the reveals don't really get in the way of the story. But in any case, yeah, any comments will be greatly appreciated. And until the next chapter, happy manga reading. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.